Hey guys, so I'm Sam,
I'm Maggie,
and we're going to be presenting our work from this quarter on the on-the-go delivery SIG, formerly known as Libero, uh,
formerly known as Mohini.
formerly known as Mohini, very briefly. Uh, so yeah, first of all, the problem motivation. So to research the convenience barriers in on-the-go systems, these systems where you opportunistically ping helpers. We're trying to find out what makes those kinds of tasks difficult to participate in and to coordinate. And our goals are kind of to find the general guidelines and solutions that can mitigate these inconveniences in on-the-go systems.
Our research questions are asking what differentiates on-the-go systems from directed systems, and what inconveniences are related to these specific differences.
So, so this quarter, what we did is we built a tech stack that would allow us to actually find out what the obstacles are in a broad sense in these systems because that hasn't really been researched. And we were able to observe quite a few new obstacles.
So we did a need finding study where we had people test out our app for the first time, and we observed a lot of new user obstacles. For example, there's a lot of ambiguity for requesters. Because it is an opportunistic system, it's not guaranteed that a request will be completed, and even if it is completed, it's unclear when exactly the request will be completed because the helper might do other tasks in between. Also, we notice that helpers don't have a strong incentive to stay incredibly involved in the interaction. So, again, they might do tasks between the pickup and delivery of the item. They might not be great at communication. And also, there's a lack of accountability in the system. And so, there's not a good way to place blame. And so, we noticed that the blame was getting placed on the helper, which is hard because they're the volunteer in the system.
Right, yeah, and kind of the volunteer-based aspects of the system, on the go being the people who are helping are not paid, they're volunteers. We notice that that has a lot of effects on the ways these interactions go, like Maggie was just explaining. So some examples of that we noticed from our need finding were that requesters have low expectations for acceptance. They don't exactly expect their order to be accepted within a small time frame, so they will kind of not pay attention to the status of the order. And then when it comes time for them to uh, actually coordinate the handoff, they won't be engaged in the system and could be doing something else. Also, helpers will often do other things between picking up items and delivering them, like Maggie was talking about before, and just kind of things in that similar vein. And we came away with a lot of evidence that we can use to support design arguments and kind of in, inform our design of future features.
So in terms of our system, because we just developed the MVP of our technology, our system arguments aren't very developed. We basically just implemented the core features, so that requesters can order and helpers can deliver. There's not a lot of additional complexity.
All right, so on to the tech and architecture that we were able to implement this quarter. So uh, from a tech standpoint, it was a node server using MongoDB to store the requests, and we did a native iPhone app to for the requesters and helpers to actually interface with. So uh, as a helper, or a requester, excuse me, you can make a request, click a ground beef burrito, you let the system know when the order should expire. So you'll put in a broad sense, your location, so maybe like the garage, and then say, near the back of the first room, you'll enter, I'm wearing a red shirt. So whatever information that you think the helper might need. So you put in your order, and here you can see it'll show up in the system. You can edit that order if you so desire. Uh, yeah, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to do location simulation. So the system's going to think we're walking right in front of Tomate, where we planted another request, earlier, right before this demonstration. So what should happen? Okay. Would have had to have some iMovie magic. Okay, so you can see Poincar is hungry. So we're going to go ahead, inspect the specifics of his request. Okay. Forward in the back room behind the coffee machine. I don't know what it means to be behind the coffee machine, but I'm going to go ahead and accept it. And there you go. We can see that the task was marked as accepted by the system, and this is reflected in our interface. And upon completing the request, I'm actually going to turn that off. Upon completing the request, you can actually go ahead and mark the order as completed. Type in, it was super easy. Poincar is a great guy. And it goes away. The feedback's delivered to us, and yeah, that's kind of the mechanism we use to need find.
So our need finding study was done within DTR. We incentivized requests by offering 2 free burritos over the course of the study, which was about 2 weeks. And we had maybe about 5 requests, or like 5 interactions total, and some requests involved multiple burrito deliveries.
Right. So what worked? Well, first of all, as you saw, our system works, and people can use it to order burritos, and helpers can use it to get the burritos to the requester. And we had pretty solid need finding, so we had two weeks of deliveries occasionally happening, and we got really good specific feedback from the people who were involved in those interactions.
And up until this point, we just had a lot of hypotheses about inconveniences, and so it was really good to back up a lot of these with quotes. On the other hand, the things that didn't work, so one, because our system is still pretty green, we had to do a lot of wizarding. There were some like tech flaws, like tech bugs in our app that we had to explain away. Also, there was like a bit of a lack of demand, and so we had to do some like artificial like we did some deliveries ourselves. There was a lot of coordination over Slack, which was only possible because it was within DTR and everybody could easily contact each other, things like that. And there are some times when this might have gotten in the way of like more authentic need finding, or may have introduced additional obstacles that aren't like inherently intrinsic to on-the-go systems. There was also pretty slow tech iteration, especially at the beginning of the quarter, because we're both really unfamiliar with Swift. It took us like a while to get the tech working, and so we had to keep on pushing back the need finding date because we kept on like finding new bugs that we had to fix.
Right, and then onto some limitations. So we kind of found some problems with the domain we chose for burrito delivery. So first of all, there's like a very specific time window that you'll be ordering a burrito, namely lunch, and it might kind of limit the kinds of interactions that can happen, and also limit the number of interactions and orders that'll be placed in our system generally, and just make it less likely that helpers are passing the right place at the right time. Yeah, onto that. Not that many people pass by Tomate, which is the store we chose, by Sheridan and Noise. So a lot of the time when the delivery did happen, it wasn't completely organic. And if it was organic, it was rare. And then, yeah, we had around an order a day, so the demand wasn't very high. And the project being incredibly new, the tech was super buggy still, and developing new features will probably break some old ones, so we'll need to find a way to kind of keep that from happening. And the project direction started off, this is a new project introduced last quarter. I feel like the direction started off pretty vague, and it is becoming clearer, but it's still kind of in the formative stages.
That being said, we're really excited to keep on working next year. So moving forward, we're going to take a lot of the feedback from this last need finding study to develop and test design arguments and actually implement features unique to on-the-go systems. We're going to continue working on our tech stack to make it more robust and bug-proof, so it doesn't distract as much from future studies. And then, of course, we're going to continue doing more user studies to keep on iterating on our design arguments.
All
Great.
right.
Thanks for listening.
Stay tuned for more great work from our site.